Looks okay.
Does it really be late? I think that. But I will say, I'm so excited. I didn't think I'd be alive.
It's sort of probably around town every day.
Good morning, York East. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right. Here come the dynamic duo.
Good morning. All right, so for this morning, we have two guests. If you wouldn't mind standing until the president has a chance to formally greet you. We have our speaker today, Ms. Tiffany Ayers. And also a guest of Nate Tile is Sherry Karen.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. You can have a seat and please join me, Rotary East, with a round of applause. All right, 50-50. Hey, Diane. All right. Happy dollars. I think I'm going to start off happy dollars because I got a great response from York East for stuffing and gravy. I counted 52 stuffings, 12 jars of gravy, and 81 packets, which goes a long, long way. So Jim may have had even some others, but I thought that was pretty terrific. So I got 2 happy dollars for that. All right, who's next? I see a couple of hands. Friedel, you want to go first? Okay.
We are very, very happy. We are very, very happy to be back. And and I have to say, this club is a dream for me. You've all pulled us through, and I cannot thank you enough. Gratitude everywhere. And I'll give you the dollars in a minute.
Okay, sounds good. Gratitude is good this time of year. Karen?
Happy because maybe by next week I will get a paycheck.
I agree. Lou?
I had the opportunity to get to Raleigh this weekend for grandchildren. There are 757 posts or pictures on Facebook if you'd like to see them. It was a blast.
Very good. Who else? Anybody else?
I have a happy dollar. You'll hear more about it, but we had a wonderful evening at the foundation dinner on Saturday night, seeing everyone from all over the district, all our new friends, old friends, and it was a great event. And Melissa, our district secretary, will someday be a great district governor. She was a wonderful MC and handled everything so terrifically. So it was a wonderful night. Vicki and I drove together, so we got to catch up. And so hopefully next year, some more of you will come with us. And it was fun, food, fun, and hearing about and seeing what's going on in the district.
Very good. All right, Lisa.
So about 2 weeks ago, Dick Cheney died. And Dick Cheney was in his 40s when he had his first heart attack. And back when he was in his 40s, all we could really give to him was some medicine and some prayers because his outcome was pretty dismal. And as his disease progressed, we developed the ability to do open heart surgery. And Dick had open heart surgery and lived a little bit longer. And then as his disease progressed, we developed the ability to do stent placement. And he underwent a stent and he lived a little bit longer. And then as time went on, we developed the ability to do heart transplants, and Dick needed a heart transplant. And so my point is that Dick should have probably only lived to be about 50 years old, but because of science, he got to live to be in his 80s. And I work in clinical research and science, and it's like watching a miracle every day. So my $5 is for science.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that story. All right. Lydell.
I have $1 for Lisa's happy dollar.
Oh, very nice. All right. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Okay. You ought to all be happy because I had something in the works instead of a bad dad joke today. So this is Tuesday trivia. In 1948, the Berlin airlift began after the Soviet Union cut off land and water routes to the isolated western sector of Berlin. In 1963, John F. Kennedy visited West Berlin, where he delivered his famous speech expressing solidarity with the city's residents, declaring, Ich bin ein Berliner, meaning I am a Berliner. On June 12, 1987, at the Brandenburg Gate, Ronald Reagan is quoted, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." His speech is noted to contribute to the wall's eventual fall in 1989. Today, you can find a piece of the Berlin Wall in Portland, Maine. All right. Anniversaries. Dan Calloway celebrates 27 years this month. Jim Arvin celebrates 26 years. Sandy Graham celebrates 9 years with Rotary. Dan Hoff, 3. And Nate Tile, 3. Congratulations to everybody. Happy birthdays to Paul Rouse, who celebrated his birthday on 11/5. Don Wonders, his birthday is coming up on the 25th, next Tuesday. And Sandy Graham has her birthday at the end of the month, November 30th. Let's give everybody a round of applause for that. All right, announcements. Todd, you want to come up?
Whole pack of papers here this morning. I was gonna have table flyers for everybody for the holiday party. And they're out in my car. They're really pretty. Except they have the wrong date on them, so I didn't think they would be very effective. So apologize for that. We'll have them for the next meeting. But the holiday party is coming up. It is on the 7th, which is basically about 2.5 weeks from now. Everybody is welcome to attend. We're gonna have sign-in sheets. There's one back at the back table. I have one we can pass around. And I also have a whole pack of directions along with a map of the property so you know where to go because there's a couple buildings on the property. I will warn everybody, as I do every year, if you're GPS efficient and you use GPS and it takes you to Hoffman Road, which is the road past Willow Creek Road, do not take Hoffman Road. Hoffman Road turns into a dirt road and there are potholes. I have it in the directions as a note. It will swallow a small car. So please, if you get on Hoffman Road, turn around, come back out, go 1 block down to the right to Willow Creek and come out Willow Creek Road. Hoffman Road is dangerous. So I hope to see everybody at the holiday party. It'll be on the 7th. We're supplying the main courses. We're just asking everybody if they want to bring along a side or a dessert, please do so. So 5 to 9. 73 Willow Creek Road. So with that, the other piece of information we have, as Connie said, we attended the Rotary Foundation dinner on Saturday night. And the Rotary Club of York East was the recipient of 2 awards at the foundation dinner. First and foremost, I think this is very important. We get this nice little swag banner. We were 3rd overall in the district for per capita giving. So that's pretty impressive when you consider that, the size of the club. I think it was right around 260 something per person in the club. So congratulations. That's an amazing feat. Very proud of that. And then the second thing we received at the foundation dinner was an award, a presentation for polio. It says here the Rotary Club of York East has presented a certificate of appreciation for its financial support of End Polio Now Countdown to History campaign. So congratulations to everybody for the awards that we received at the foundation dinner. This is Foundation Month, so I think that it's important to stress the foundation. It's very easy to donate to the foundation. One of the things we have in this club, I just looked up, we have sustainable members, it's called. Sustainable members are people who contribute to the annual fund, $100 per Rotary year. So far this year, which the year just started in July, for those of you who don't know that the Rotary year starts in July, we have 9 people so far in this club that donated over $100 to. So I just want to say that it going. If you need to sign up for the foundation, doing it online is very easy. It's an incredibly easy thing to do. You don't miss the money. I did it years ago. And yeah, I can help you get through that process if you want to. You can sign up online. The donation comes right out, and it's a wonderful thing. So let's just keep working on the foundation, see if we can top last year. So, all right.
All right, very good. Now, it is impressive how generous our club is. I found when I was doing the foundation previously that the majority of people don't make their donation until closer to the end of the calendar year or in after the calendar year. So I think there's a lot more room for more sustainable members. So thank you very much. Let's see, Connie, you wanted to come up?
Well, after the 7th, you should all be in such a great holiday spirit and ready to go forward, but you're probably going to want to decorate your houses for Christmas. So after a long discussion with Rotary International, we decided to move the mission to October. They presented us with a new rule that had been on the books for 10 years, but never have they ever asked anybody to do it. And they really didn't know how to do it. So I guess they figured after all the missions, I'd figure it out. So after 5 weeks, we got insurance from Lloyd's of London for international liability that no one's ever been able to get. Joanne tried for a whole day to try to get me some of that, and it didn't work. So now that it's all settled, we had to move our date because they kept us waiting too long. So now we're going to go in October. Okay, Tim has been signed up. He's even donated, and he's going to be covered with your funds from last year for the poinsettia sale. But now we'd like to add a second person as well. So we're going to sell poinsettias again. So I'm going to recruit all my friends to help carry them here. And we're going to set up some sign-up sheets. And I hope you'll support the mission and your fellow club members, because on the grant, I cannot put people who are not medical and who cannot be with their credentials and everything approved by Rotary International. But we do want to bring that spirit back, so you're not just hearing from me and Cher and Vicki. You're going to hear from some new people about the amazing experience that they have on this mission. So please help us by buying some poinsettias. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, get some for your mother, your father, and let us know. So we'll have some sheets next week, and hopefully you'll support the mission and some new voices from the club.
Okay, very good. All right, does anybody else have any announcements for the good of the cause? All right, I believe it's time for our speaker.
Good morning, York East. In Jeff's continued absence due to his recovery, and he did tell me he's doing better this week than he was doing last week, so that's good news. But he asked me to introduce our speaker, and it is my pleasure to introduce Tiffany Ayers, a lifelong learner, educator, and environmental advocate whose diverse career journey led her to create a unique mission-driven organization. Tiffany spent more than 25 years in the veterinarian field, serving in a variety of leadership and management roles, including several years as a regional operations manager, where she worked with hundreds of teams across the country, providing guidance, training, and professional development. Her passion for helping others grow was also evidenced through her work as a management instructor at York Technical Institute, a consultant for Zoetis Animal Health, and a national presenter on management topics through Fred Pryor seminars. While her professional career flourished, Tiffany discovered what began as a hobby but soon grew into a calling: beekeeping. Over time, her curiosity became deep expertise, culminating in earning her Master beekeeper certification through Cornell University and mentoring other beekeepers along the way. In 2023, she founded Keys to Bees, Inc., an organization that combines her leadership background, passion for conservation, and love of education. In 2024, her work was recognized with a USDA grant to create an online training platform to support beekeepers nationwide. Tiffany is also one of her own in Rotary, proudly serving as a member of the Rotary Club of Carlisle since 2023, where her values of service, education, and community engagement align closely with our shared mission. Today, Keys to Bees provides education for audiences of all ages, from youth to corporate teams, using customized teaching styles but sharing one unified message: the importance of pollinators and environmental sustainability, and the role each of us plays in protecting them. Please join me in welcoming Tiffany Ayers, an inspiring educator, environmental steward, and advocate for the tiny creatures that make a huge difference.
That's amazing.
Can you all hear me okay? Okay, fantastic. I generally bring notes up with me just so I stay on point, stay on time, and then I don't look at them. So I don't know why I do it. I think it's a security blanket, but let's see. Can I drive this? Just turn the switch on. I knew I would forget. Got it. All right. Is that a fine? I know it's a fine at our Rotary Club. I just wanted to say good morning, fellow Rotarians, and it is a privilege to be here. As Elizabeth said, I am a member of the Carlisle Rotary Group, and anytime I get to stand in front of a group and talk about bees, I am on cloud nine. So thank you so much for making my day here. I have this slide up because, well, it's a horrible picture of me. I have these like wings sticking out here, but out of all of the pictures of me in the bees, doing the bee stuff, they're all horrendous. You know, it's 90 degrees, I'm sweating, and everything about bees is sticky. This is probably the best one, and it's pretty bad. So this is what you got. But I put this up here because I wanted just to stress that I have spent most of my career training in some aspect or another. So as I got into beekeeping, over the last 2 decades, at least the last 2 decades, we have seen bees in the media. And when I got into beekeeping, what I realized is that a lot of the general public really don't know much about the honeybee, and they don't know much about bees in general. So I thought I would start out my presentation a little bit different today. Later on throughout the presentation, I'll tell you more about Keys to Bees and about what I do and how I do that. But I thought we could have some fun this morning and that we could have a test. I know it's early. My Rotary group meets at noon, so I'm a little more awake at noon, but I thought you're used to getting up this early. You should be wide awake and raring to go. Test sound like a good idea? All right. You don't have to answer. You can just think in your head the answer. So the first section here is to be or not to be. All right. Is this a picture of a bee or not? You think? Yeah. Yes. Yes. This is a bee. For those of you who are thinking, yeah, that's what she asking. Yeah, of course that's a bee. This is actually a honeybee. You can tell it's a bee because she has hair all over her body, and I say she because she also is collecting pollen, and the females are the ones who collect pollen. She has these pollen pellets on the back of her legs because she has collected pollen when she's landed on the flowers all over her body, on the hair, and she's used these bristles, these hairs, these coarse hairs on her forearms called pollen combs to comb her hair, gather all of that pollen and push it to the back of her legs that have a divot to hold pollen called pollen baskets. See a theme here? So she can actually fly inhibited back to the nest so that that pollen, that protein can be fed to the baby bees. So yes, this is a bee. How about this one? Bee? Not a bee. No, this is not a bee. This is a wasp. This is actually a paper wasp. You can tell it is a wasp because, well, where's the hair, right? Now, some wasps may have a hair, stray hair here, a stray hair there, but they are not structured, set up to be a pollinator. Bees have hair all over them to collect the pollen. Wasps are omnivores. They will go where food is. And if they land on a flower and go to another flower, they may actually pollinate, but they don't set out to pollinate. They're not there necessarily for that pollen. Just like we can be a pollinator by spreading pollen from one flower to another, but that's not what they set out or we set out to do like bees do. Okay, what about this one? Bee or not a bee? Yeah, you're getting more confident now. I'm seeing more heads shake. This is a bee. This is actually a common eastern bee, bumblebee. An interesting fact about bumblebees is that they have the longest tongue or proboscis of any bee. Why is that important, you ask, right? You were wondering? Why does that matter? Well, flowers are shaped differently, right? And some flowers, and you can kind of tell if you can see it, they're more tubular, so they have a longer distance to actually reach that nectar. So many bees, such as the honeybee and the mason bee and leafcutter bees, they have shorter proboscises, so they'll fly right over these flowers that have a tubular flower because they can't reach the nectar. So many nurseries that actually raise tomatoes, because a lot of tomato plants have more tubular flowers, will bring in small colonies of bumblebees to pollinate their gardens so that they have a higher yield. All right, what about this one? Yellow jacket. Yes, a yellow jacket. Is a yellow jacket a bee? No, it is a wasp. A yellow jacket is a wasp. So unfortunately for the honeybee, this cute, this docile, this furry, fuzzy, nice bee is commonly misinterpreted, misidentified with the yellow jacket. The yellow jacket is generally, in this area, it is the meanest wasp we have. You look at them crossways, and they'll come and greet you, but it's not necessarily a friendly greeting. So yeah. All right, last one. Yes? Yes? Does anybody know, this is a bee. Does anybody know what kind of bee? It is not a carpenter bee. It's a unique picture. I thought she was very cute, so I used this one. This is a mason bee. This is a mason bee. Now, for those of you who are not sure what a mason bee is, they are a solitary bee, so they do not live in a colony. They are one female bee that will make a nest, commonly in a hotel like these. I'm sure you've seen these. She'll lay an egg. She takes care of everything. She doesn't have worker bees to help her with that. She's around in April and May generally is her time frame, and then she'll die off. And then the eggs and larvae in the bee house or bee hotels will take over for the next season. So this next generation will be here then for the next season. So, all right, you guys did pretty good. You ready for the next section? True or false? Honeybees and wasps are closely related. Anybody? I'm going to catch up to where I'm supposed to be, so at least I brought this up here for some reason. All right, so it's kind of subjective. It's a subjective question, right? Let's give you some perspective. You know, we have the bumblebee, the honeybee, hornet, which is a subspecies of a wasp, yellow jacket. How about this? All right, we have a leopard and we have a domestic cat. These two animals follow the scientific hierarchy down to family. So they're first cousins, right? They follow this down pretty close. Now, I would not want a leopard in my house. They do definitely have some differences, but they're pretty close cousins when you look at this scientific lineage, right? If we come back here and we look at the wasps versus bees, they are further apart. They follow the scientific hierarchy only down to order. So they are further distant cousins, right? Maybe third or fourth cousins. So just because you see a flying, stinging insect does not mean it's a bee. All right. So what is the average number of bees living in a honeybee colony? Are there any beekeepers here? No? Any guesses? Doesn't matter if you're close or not. 100,000. 300. Okay, the average number is 50,000 in one colony. That's a lot of individuals in one colony, right? All right, how about, oh, this is a good one. Is the honeybee the only bee that takes their entire colony through the winter season, their nest? You probably never thought about it before. You may not have even known that they took their, or maybe take their colony through the season. So the answer to this is yes and no. So the honeybee is the only bee that takes their colony through the winter season. You know, 50,000 bees, that's a lot of mouths to feed. And that's why they make honey. They don't make honey so that we can jar it and I can offer it as a bribe during a Rotary presentation. They make it so that they can feed the mouths in the hive during the winter season. So 97% of the colony is taken through the winter. 97%. 3% are kicked out. Anybody have an idea of what that 3% would be? What? Well, I guess that's a subjective. The boy bees. The boy bees are kicked out. So 97% of the colony, the queen, all worker bees are all female. They do all of the work in the colony. The boys do something very important. They pass their genetics along through mating. But the winter is not a mating season, so they don't take, all that they would do is take the resources, is take the food. So they have no purpose during the winter, so they kick them out. I have literally seen a worker bee who is 2/3 the size drag out this enormous male drone bee and throw them out of the hive. We're like, nah, no food for you. So yeah, so the answer is yes and no. All right. Uh-oh, my clicker has stopped. I turned it off and on. Can you? Okay, here you go. My next question for you is, let me read it. It is, one way honeybees communicate is through a dance. What is this dance called? Does anybody know what the dance is called that honeybees do? There's usually at least one in every crowd. Anyone? What? Jitterbug? Who said that? It's sort of like a jitterbug, but it's not called the jitterbug. It is called the waggle dance. All right, I was going to offer this jar of honey to anybody that would demonstrate what the waggle dance is. Does anybody want to give it an effort and a try? Anyone? Anyone? Honey? Yes? All right, I'll give you a chance a little bit later. So the waggle dance, so you got to imagine the bees are in this box. It's dark, right? So they communicate through vibration, through movement, not necessarily a lot of sound, but a lot of movement and vibration on the comb. So when a forager bee finds this wonderful patch of flowers that's just wonderful nectar, it's awesome, they want to recruit as many other worker bees, forager bees as possible to collect all this nectar so that they can have it for the winter, right? So they're communicating the GPS coordinates to all of those worker bees. This insect, tiny little insect, is doing that. So how they do that, first, they have a dance floor. Yes, they have an identified dance floor in that hive. And they try to get all of the other forager bees' attention. And how they do that is they literally shake the bejeebies out of that comb. And they wiggle and waggle all over the place so that the other forager bees on that frame feel the vibration. It's kind of like if you're in a theater and they're about ready to start the play again after intermission, they'll flick the lights on and off, they're getting your attention. It's the same thing, except you feel the floor vibrate. So it's like, oh, there's a play about to begin. Let's go see it, right? And then the bee will waggle across the wax in the direction that that nectar source is. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's what I'm going to lead with. And they will waggle the duration, indicating the distance to that flower source. And they will repeat that until the other forager bees have the GPS coordinates and they can go out and fly and get it. It's pretty cool. All right, true or false? Honeybees visit thousands of flowers every day and are an important pollinator. Please answer yes, please answer yes, please. I will cry if you don't say yes. Okay, the answer to this is actually yes. All right, so why am I talking about pollination? I would be remiss if I did not mention, I am fixated on bees and honeybees, but there are many other pollinators, important pollinators, and we need the diversity of all of them. As I mentioned, the bumblebee has the longest proboscis. There are other pieces and reasons why we need all of the diversity of pollinators: butterflies, hummingbirds, beetles, bats, moths, flies. Bummer. All right, so it's not working again. Okay. All right, so why are pollinators, why are bees, why are honeybees important? Well, if you look at this slide, the top picture shows you a picture of breakfast without the honeybee, and the bottom picture shows you the picture with a honeybee. What's missing? Let me read what's missing. So what's missing are almonds, blueberries, coffee. Coffee. A lot of coffee beans are pollinated specifically by honeybees. So if you like your coffee, save a bee. Orange juice, pumpkin seed for the granola, rapeseed oil for spread, raspberry, strawberry, sunflower seed for the oil, and general seeds. So, all right. What about, nope. What about this next picture? There, good. This is a picture of the dairy aisle. So there's a lot of different things missing in the dairy aisle. Why dairy aisle? Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Thank you. So on this slide, it goes over different categories of vegetables, fruits, and seeds, field crops that are pollinated by honeybees. Some of them more so than others. Almonds, many of you may know almonds are pollinated pretty much 100, it's like 99.99% by honeybees. 80% of the almond sales are from California, so we produce that for the global market. No, that's fine, that's fine. I do want to point out, actually I don't want to point out, I will indicate that I did not make this slide. It's an anonymous slide, and there are some errors on here. So some things are in the wrong category. I don't want you to fixate on that. The point is that there's a lot of different fruits, vegetables, food that's available because of the honeybee. If you have a garden, if you have a vegetable garden, and you have a beekeeper within a 2-mile radius of you, please go thank that beekeeper for the employment of their bees, because you probably increased your harvest by 10 yield because of borrowing those bees. Yes, thank you. Overall, honeybees, bees are the #1 pollinator for our food source. Okay. All right. Isn't this a cute picture? Cows are so cute. All right, so if we did not have bees, we would still have livestock. However, their food source would be reduced. They would have grains, but there's a lot of field crops such as alfalfa and clover that they would not have access to. So it would reduce the number of livestock that was available. It would reduce the amount of dairy that was available. And with that reduction, would it be affordable? You know, I like my ice cream in the evening. I don't know that I would be able to afford it. That would make me very grumpy. Without the plants, without the trees, of course, it wouldn't be all plants, it wouldn't be all trees, but it would be a significant amount of them. We would be without much beautification in our landscape. I often wondered, what do plants actually do? You know, I love plants. I love to see them come up. I don't necessarily have a green thumb. I wish I did. My deer in my field are proving that I don't have a green thumb because I feed them my plants that I plant every year. But what do they do? What is their purpose? And if we didn't have the plants that we have today, we would have issues with retaining soil because of their root structure. So their root structure helps with maintaining the landscape. So this would be a pretty barren existence if we didn't have the plants that we have today, many and most of them due to the pollinators that we have. If we didn't have the plants, we would start having issues with clean water. We would have issues with our ecosystem and biodiversity. with Keys to Bees, what I am looking to do is spread the word, to educate, to reach out into the community. I did not share this information with you to get you all gloomy and have a horrible day because I have painted this terrible picture. I am looking with Keys to Bees to paint a different picture by getting the word out there and through simple adjustments of what we do daily make a difference. You know, plant native plants, provide habitats for those pollinators, provide them food so that we can keep them around a little bit longer. Wait to mow. I am asking you to go watch television and don't ride on your mower to mow. Clover is awesome. You want clover in your yard. And whoever said the dandelion was a weed, ugh, this little pop of yellow brilliance out there in the yard, it's beautiful. Did you ever really stop and look at the details in a dandelion? The dandelion has, I go down side streets sometimes, the dandelion has 8 of the 10 amino acids necessary to fuel a honeybee. I love dandelions. My neighbors don't love me so much, but I love dandelions. And plant, share with others, and especially youth, the importance of pollinators. So I've lost my place in there. So see what I do? I hold it and I don't even look at it. So with Keys to Bees, we focus on community outreach and education, sharing the importance of pollinators. And we do this through 3 different categories primarily: education and outreach, business, communication and teamwork, apiary visits and experiences. The education and outreach we do in a number of ways. We do it through presentations, all different kinds of presentations, workshops, events, whether we're presenting at those events or we're just there. We just started to do assemblies for children at schools where Beatrice the bee has a humorous dialogue with her beekeeper. And through that dialogue, we're educating the students in the audience. We partner with a number of organizations such as Dickinson College and the Department of Agriculture to spread the word. We also provide visits to the apiary and experiences. Have you ever been stuck on what you want to buy someone because they have everything? And when they don't have something, then they go out and get it? What about an experience if they are interested in bees, gardening, or pollinators? We also have parents that buy an experience for their kid to expand upon that learning experience. Demonstrations, field trips, workshops, mentorships, where we help the newer or novice beekeepers interpret what the bees are doing in the hive. And lastly, we do, with my background in training, we offer communication and teamwork as seen through the lens of the honeybee. After all, the honeybee works with 50,000 individuals. They communicate and work together to survive. Sometimes we have trouble with 3, right? So this workshop shares the systems of the honeybee, and it encourages the integration with that into your system so that you can enhance what you have. Many people have indicated that it helped them come to alternate decisions because they were able to think outside the box. And others have said that the program has been so enlightening that they've gone on to learn more about the honeybee in itself. So overall, that is a quick rundown of Keys to Bees, what we do and why we do it. So thank you so much.
Does anybody have any questions? There you go.
You centrifuge honey after you take it out of the hive.
Yes.
What does centrifuge through from the raw honey that comes out of the hive?
So we have filters that it's filtered through. So it will, depending upon the tightness of your filter and how many times you filter the honey will determine what it filters out. But it will filter out any debris that's in that honey, larger pieces of pollen, wax particles, because the honey is actually sealed behind a layer of wax. So that is taken off. So there is some wax debris in there too that is pulled out, extracted differently, and then candles or whatnot are made of that. But the lighter it's filtered, more pollen particles can actually make it through into the honey. So if you buy raw, lightly filtered honey, it is likely to have larger pieces of pollen in it. All local raw honey is going to have some pollen particles in it, and that is actually when it's not pasteurized. Once it's pasteurized, it kills all of the natural health benefits. But if not, all local raw honey is going to have some pieces of pollen in it that help with different allergies if you have the allergen in that honey at that time.
Buy honey that claims to have been produced by bees in the mountains. And this honey is thicker and more opaque than the kind of honey that we buy in the supermarkets here. What is that opaque material? It's tasty.
Is it creamed honey? Is it noted as creamed honey? No. So the reason why honey doesn't ever go bad, one, it will go bad if you don't seal it and moisture is allowed to enter it, so you have to seal it. But otherwise, as long as I'm going to get a little sciencey here, as long as it retains its moisture level at 18.6% or less, it will not go bad, it won't ferment. If the moisture level goes higher than that, it will ferment. Depending upon what the bees were pollinating, what flower source they were getting, it's going to change the color, it's going to change the taste, and depending upon the moisture level that they brought that nectar in it and how much they literally fan to evaporate the moisture within the hive, it will get a thicker consistency. But the opaqueness, I'm just wondering if it was overspun that they were making some of creamed honey. All honey will crystallize over time. It just depends on a few different factors, and one is what types of sugar are in there. The higher the fructose, it won't crystallize as quick as if it's higher in glucose.
We have a neighbor who has a beehive.
Mhm.
And all they are shush, don't talk about it. We all know about it, but we don't talk about it. Is it not allowed to have a beehive in the neighborhood?
So I actually just came from this weekend. The Pennsylvania State Beekeepers Association had their conference, and there's bee laws that are in the works trying to get passed. Depending upon the municipality and the township, they may have certain stipulations that prohibit having a hive. And the number one reason why there are issues that municipality or township will do something is because of neighbors that are unhappy. So that's potentially why even municipalities that allow bees, if you have a neighbor that is upset, it could cause uproar to make it rough. Mhm. Okay. Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, Tiffany. That was a great presentation, a lot of humor in it too. So. All right, folks, unless there's something else for the good of the cause. We are adjourned. See you next week.